Buenos Aires in Argentina has a lot to offer, but is it the best city to go to if you want to travel to South America? Let's find out. First and foremost, you can triple your money in Argentina. Basically, 300 pesos is worth $1, and that is a great conversion rate for if you're coming from the US or any place that uses the US dollar. Hotels are really cheap, Airbnbs are very cheap, food especially is cheap, and transportation, so you can get a lot of bang for your buck. However, the downside to this is that sometimes it's very difficult to find cash in Argentina because you have to use Western Union, and when you go to Western Union to get the cash to use, sometimes Western Unions just don't have cash. I went to so many Western Unions and there were times when they were like, hey, come back later, or we don't have cash right now, or you're gonna have to try to come back tomorrow. And just because they say come back tomorrow, that does not mean that they will have the money. So it's a pro because you definitely get a good bang for your buck, but it's a con because A, you have to use cash if you want to get this triple conversion rate, but B, if you're using Western Union, they just may not have cash and you may spend your whole entire day traveling across the city trying to find a Western Union with cash. Trust me, I know, I've been there before. The only great alternative to this is just trying to get there early. It's the only recommendation that I found that works. So if you're planning to go to Argentina, go to Western Union and be like the first one in line. In general, Argentina is a very clean and safe city. As a woman traveling across Argentina and Buenos Aires in the capital, I never felt unsafe. I felt very safe in my surroundings. I've taken taxis late at night and Ubers late at night. I've walked the city alone, and in general I always felt pretty safe, and that's coming from someone who lives like very close to New York City. However, the con to this is that the humidity kind of sucks. If you're planning on traveling down there during their winter, which would be June, July, and August, plan to pack more winter heavy clothes than what you would have packed originally because the humidity makes it much more cold. And in the summers, do not even get me started with how hot and humid it feels because the humidity is just terrible. Like, you have to plan accordingly if you're planning on going to Argentina for a long time during those months specifically. But one thing I really don't like about Buenos Aires, and this just may be a hot take of mine, it's like, it is a very dog-friendly city, don't get me wrong, I love that, but the con to that is like people just don't pick up their dog poop, and there's like dog poop and dog pee like all throughout the sidewalks of Buenos Aires. It's kind of gross, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not like every street is filled and infested. It's just like something you have to be mindful of when you're walking because you do not want to step in either of this. And I've been to a bunch of cities before, but this problem specifically is the most relevant in Argentina. It's like no one cleans up after their dog, which is a little bit infuriating, but just be mindful of that. But outside of that, Argentina is known for having really good food. I love their empanadas and their pizza, and it's very cheap. Again, if you're using the US dollar or if you're using the euro, you will be able to buy so much food at such a good price. Like for going grocery shopping, for example, if you're planning on cooking your own meals at home, I spent about $25 a week buying a bunch of stuff, and that was for the week. And when I go out to dinner, for example, I'm spending probably about $10-ish max, and I'm getting the appetizers, I'm getting a drink, I'm getting like the biggest meal possible, and that's all for $10, where in the US I spend maybe $25 on a meal minimum. But again, the con to this is that the food gets very repetitive. There are so many pizza shops and empanada shops and shops like that, which are fantastic, but it feels like when you're walking around trying to find something to eat, your only options are like pizza and pastas because that is so common. But there are other options, don't get me wrong. It just feels like every time I want to find something to eat, like the only restaurants around me are like pizza, pasta, pizza, pasta, pizza, pasta. And for the first week it was cool, but now I'm like, I would love to have something outside of pizza and pasta. And don't get me wrong, there are other options, especially if you're a vegan or vegetarian. They do have many vegan and vegetarian friendly options. There are specific restaurants and chains just for those types of meals themselves, but every single restaurant I've been to has vegan and vegetarian friendly options. So please don't be worried if you're either vegan or vegetarian because they got you covered. And some people may consider this one to be a con, but truthfully, if you're going to a country that speaks another language, you should know their language, at least a good enough amount to get you to order some food and talk with some people and have some simple basic conversations. But you really do do need to know some Spanish because people in Argentina are very well educated, but not a lot of people speak English or speak English well enough to have conversations with you and like carry out a food order or if you have a question. So I would really encourage you to know some Spanish or at least freshen up on your Spanish before you go down there, because if you have a problem and if you need to talk with someone, you're probably going to have to carry that conversation out in Spanish, and you want to know at least a little bit. Like, if you're not perfect, don't worry. You should just know enough, like some of the basic words to help you get by, just in case anything like that were to happen. Also, download Google Translate on your phone. Keep that downloaded with the Spanish version and with your native language, so that way you can communicate with someone just in case you don't have cell phone service or something like that. However, though, if you're not really confident with your Spanish skills, they again got you covered because there are so many cheap schools that will help you improve your Spanish. I went to a school a few weeks ago and it cost me like $125 for 20 hours of instruction per week. So I went to the school 5 days a week and it was 4 hours each day of very high intense Spanish instruction, and the classes were very small. I had only 2 other people in my Spanish class taking the course with me, so it was very one-on-one personalized. If you're interested in that school specifically, it's called Vamos Academy. I highly recommend it. Outside of just the Spanish classes that I took, I also went on cultural excursions and different things like that with them, so I would recommend that one. But outside of that, there are private tutors that are very affordable in other schools as well. So definitely brushing up on your Spanish because you're definitely going to need to know some before you go down there. And we're gonna go back to the money for a minute because I did not mention this, but although the food, transportation, and housing is very cheap for someone coming from either the US or some country that uses the euro, there are some things that are just very expensive. For example, clothes are very expensive and electronics. So if you're coming to Argentina, make sure you maybe have a backup of some of your electronics like chargers and things like that, because you do not want to have to pay the gringo fee for not either knowing Spanish if they charge you a higher price just because they know you don't speak Spanish and they know that you have the dollar or the euro, so they're going to try to get as much money as they can from you. But also in general, it's just very expensive. So you really can save your money if you buy an extra charger or 2 from Amazon before coming down here, because if it breaks or something happens, A, you're gonna have to have a conversation with someone and buy whatever down there, and B, it's gonna charge you a bunch of money. So save your money, be prepared before you come down, and just know that if you don't come prepared, there are options. You're just gonna have to pay a little bit of more money. Also, I don't see a lot of people talking about the markets that happen on Sundays. There are always markets going on Sundays. If you have some cash on you, some pesos, definitely go to them, check them out. They start at around 11 o'clock or 12 in the afternoon, and you can get so many different things from there, either just for yourself, or if you're just down in Argentina for a little bit, you can buy some souvenirs to bring back to your family in the US or whatever. So definitely check out those things. And some people will tell you don't go to La Boca because it's not safe and it's like dirty and things like that, but I love La Boca. Definitely go down there. If you see some things online telling you it's not safe in general, it's pretty safe if you just stay in the touristy area. I would recommend that you definitely take an Uber there though. I could literally talk about how much I love La Boca in a separate video, so if you're interested in watching that, let me know down below. But seriously, make sure you check out La Boca, make sure you check out the markets that happen on Sundays if you are planning on going down to Argentina. And I think in general too, from my own perspective, flights going to Argentina are just a little bit pricey. For example, I came to Argentina from JFK in New York City, and a one-way ticket was about $500-ish. A round-way ticket was maybe, I didn't buy one, but I think it was like $1,200 or $1,300. But I have a tip for you for if you're trying to travel from Argentina to other places. What you have to do, make sure you have pesos on you. So make sure you go to the Western Union, stock up on some pesos, and then go to the airport in person. Do not buy airplane tickets online because you can get such a better deal if you go directly to the airport in person. Again, you're gonna want to know some Spanish or at least have Google Translate on you. Just be patient, and if you do have a friend down there or if you meet someone that is pretty good in Spanish, ask them if they could accompany you to the airport just so you have a backup, because you never know what could happen. You just always want to make sure that you have that Spanish language translator downloaded, or you have a friend with you, or you brushing up on your Spanish. I know I mentioned this before, I'm bringing it back up again. It's so important. Like, you just gotta know it. So the big question is, should you go to Buenos Aires if you're planning on traveling to go to South America? And my honest answer is yes. I've traveled to other places in South America specifically. I've been to Chile. I've even lived in Ecuador for a little bit of time. I'm already planning a different trip to go to Costa Rica, but in my opinion, nothing beats Buenos Aires. It's safe, the food is good, the people are nice, you'll have such a good time, and you really can't go wrong by being in a great metropolitan city. There's always so much to do. Like, they start their day at like 7 a.m. and you will see people staying out until 7 a.m. It's like a 24-hour cycle for them. So if you're looking for a fun place to go to meet some great people, learn a lot about the culture, eat some good food, improve your Spanish, I 100% recommend that you go to Buenos Aires. Truthfully, everyone who I met with and talked to about living in the city itself, they love it. They have nothing but nice things to say about it. And that's not something that's really common. For example, like about New York City, some people say that they love it and some people say that they hate it. But for Buenos Aires, literally, everyone says that they love it. And there are some safety concerns. I feel like I would be doing you an injustice if I didn't talk about the safety concerns. One, just be aware of your surroundings. Like, you don't want to get pickpocketed at all. And although I say that I walked around at night and I felt safe, you should definitely have a buddy. You should have someone looking at your location no matter where you go. Always let someone know where you're going, whether it's friends or family back from where you live or people you meet in Buenos Aires. Like, there's little things that you can do every single day to make sure that you are safe. Although, in my honest opinion, and from the opinion of so many other people, it's such a safe, nice, clean, generous city. Just like with any other city though, bad things can happen, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So just be mindful of your surroundings, do a little research about places you should go and at what times, and for what places you shouldn't go and at what times not to go as well. However though, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future content just like this one. Also, if you have anything else to add, please let me know in the comments down below, because if I miss something that's super important, I know someone else is going to want to know about it too.